Welcome. Take it up with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Faylene Bell, who's the Director of Digital Marketing Platform Operations at NVIDIA. Faylene, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm delighted to have you. A Black woman leader in the tech space is rare, and so I'm so glad you're on the show. I know at NVIDIA, it's a huge company, very successful, and there's been a lot of changes in the company because of the multiple acquisitions. And as the leader of the digital platform operations over there for marketing, it must be a big challenge handling all these changes in multiple languages and managing multiple teams across the globe. So let's hear it. What's innovative? What's changing at NVIDIA?
Sure. So I would say first, we've actually expanded a lot of our marketing capabilities through some of those acquisitions over the last 18 to 24 months. We've acquired Mellanox, acquired Cumulus Networks, and that's really going to increase our data center efficiencies and booster our networking capabilities. We also formed a partnership with Mercedes-Benz, and that's being powered by NVIDIA Drive, our platform there. So what that means is starting in 2024, Mercedes-Benz vehicles will be powered with that NVIDIA automated driving functionality, which is awesome. And then we formed a partnership recently with VMware, which allows us to deliver enterprise platforms for artificial intelligence, and we'll be providing a new architecture for our data centers. All of these acquisitions and partnerships is really helping us push forward when it comes to marketing innovation at NVIDIA. And what that means is we really are doing more and more data-driven marketing and personalization on our web platform, which allows us to optimize campaigns a lot faster on the fly. We can do more testing from a web perspective, using the content, using the artificial intelligence capabilities, so that we know user data when they come into the site, their browsing history, their location, all of those retargeting capabilities as well that we can do across omnichannels. So we are able to do messaging and targeting to customers that are spanning across platforms and devices.
Now you manage a team of like 47 people, and there are 10 versions of the NVIDIA website. So I'm wondering, how do you keep it all consistent and be able to, at the same time, customize and personalize for that language and that culture, right? So it's not just one website translated just purely on language.
Sure. The best way to manage complexity when it comes to a global framework is making sure you have a flexible and scalable content management system. So we have a very robust CMS system. It's a platform that allows us to take versions of our English website and translate it into multiple languages, as well as manages the content more efficiently. We use a platform through Adobe. It's called Adobe Experience Manager, and that platform from a content management perspective has been very, very beneficial if you're trying to manage thousands of pages across multiple locations with a lot of efficiency and accuracy.
Okay. And when we talk about just translating and using technology to translate at scale, I'm wondering about just the little nuances of the different culture. Like it's not just purely translating purely on the language. And there's a lot of, I would say, the differences in website, the way you architect it too.
Absolutely. So we actually integrate tools into our content management system, machine translation tools and partners that allows us to do not only just a straight one-to-one translation, we also have a very large global team that does some checks and balances to ensure the translation that the machine has done is the correct way that it needs to be interpreted in German or in Chinese or Japanese languages. So we actually leverage external tools that help us with the machine learning translation so it's accurate.
Very good. I'm going to ask you about managing teams. because I think it's a challenge when you manage a large, diverse team, and especially as a woman, that you've got a challenge as to gender bias, and then you have being a Black woman, even more challenges. Surely you must have some lessons and experience that you could share with us.
Yes, absolutely. I also try to form a bond with the global teams. And virtually, there's lots of different fun icebreaker games you can introduce to the teams so they get to know you a little bit better. You get to know them, their family. I play this really fun, innocent game. It's an M&M game where I have everyone on the team purchase some M&Ms or some kind of candy with some colors, and I have everyone pick a particular color. You don't know what the color means when you're picking the color. And then once you pick the color, I have this little chart that I show on the screen, and I say, okay, if you pick the color yellow, you need to tell us where is your dream vacation. Or if you pick the color brown, you need to share with us what you wanted to be when you were in high school, or something like that, where it allows the team to break the ice and get to know each other. Of course, when I am able to travel to some of the global locations, I try to socialize and have some kind of off-site events, activities. We go for a cocktail hour. We have also done go-kart racing, and I try to get feedback from the teams regarding what do they want to do, because I totally understand different cultures like to do different things. So I'm very inquisitive. I like to ask lots of questions, and I'm very open to ideas and suggestions to try to form that bond with the teams.
Now, have you had any experience in which you find that as a woman leader, sometimes you don't automatically get this respect, especially from men? And how do you handle that?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it's happened way too many times. And I like to address it immediately, as soon as possible, in a professional way. And I think if I acknowledge early and I let the individual know that I feel that I'm being disrespected, I typically don't have additional challenges with people. But sometimes culturally, men have a tendency not to look at you in the eye if you are a woman and a woman of color when they're asking a question or they're inquiring about something that maybe a peer of mine is talking about. They may actually physically look at someone else instead of looking directly at me. And in those cases, I have politely and professionally addressed those individuals and said, look at me. I'm the one who is driving this strategy. I will be happy to give you answers and take that question on and provide you input. So that's how I've kind of delicately, I would say, addressed some of the disrespect that I have gotten. Assumptions are I'm not driving the agenda. I might be getting the coffee. I might be taking the notes in the meeting. So a lot of times I also like to do some introductions and state the agenda to command attention from the audience that this is my meeting or what my role is at the table.
Good point. So let's talk about diversity and inclusion. I know that's a hot topic, and a lot of companies are making progress. So I applaud a lot of companies doing that. I'm wondering if you could share with us tips on how companies can help addressing the diversity and inclusion issue.
Absolutely. I feel it's important for companies to have as part of their HR training curriculum as possible some types of courses, videos that talk about racial diversity, cultural biases. I feel any manager should definitely have these types of courses available to them. And of course, you can make it optional, you can make it mandatory, but I think it will help just address some scenario-based video examples I have found to be very helpful that talks about cultural biases or just biases that people may not even realize is something they always have stereotypes with certain types of races. That training is critical for companies to embrace, constantly evolve that training and provide to their employees. Another thing is I feel it's a top-down approach. Lip service is very temporary. It's definitely not authentic. and individuals can see that a mile away. So a lot of leaders need to ensure that they are committed to diversifying their talent and diversifying their brand. Examples that really support leaders feeling that this is true: do you have any minorities on your board of directors? Do you have any minorities that are executives or directors? So those are the questions that you start asking, and you start looking at data points to see if it is truly embraced from the top down. The last tip I'll share, and I have personally used this with my teams over and over again, there's lots of personality trait tests, I would say, Myers-Briggs, Strength Finders, and what that is a series of questions that everyone answers from all different types of scenarios. And based upon your answer, you're flagged as a label. So you might be scenario A, you might be scenario B or C. And they're like personality traits. So if you're a type A personality, you like to get things done, you're very aggressive, you move fast, you might actually be bubbled up into the scenario A types of employees. Or scenario B, they're analytical, they're quiet, they really don't want to be put on the spot. These are all things that come out when you take this little Myers-Briggs scenario, personality trait. It's helpful because then it peels back some of the layers when you're dealing with different races or different personalities as to why they may think this way, or people that are more similar than not. So I have used that actual training to help, from a leadership perspective, figure out how I need to adjust my leadership style and make it more fluid, because I know I'm dealing with individuals who don't want to speak up. They're very knowledgeable, but culturally, they have this sense of respect for elders or people in position of power. So you may feel like, oh, they're not participating and they're not providing value, but that is a cultural difference. And some of those personality traits are things that help make that very apparent. All companies need to have that as part of their HR curriculum, especially leaders.
Now, I know that you worked at large companies before, and you've seen the difference in having unconscious bias training versus not having it. Tell us some of the results that researchers have found.
I think researchers have found that having that training allows a lot of corporate professionals or anyone in the workplace to feel more comfortable partnering and collaborating with all types of groups. And personally, I think the success is seen when you have a diverse population of employees, where the percentage of minorities is not necessarily underrepresented to a point where there's no diversity at all in your employee base. So the training will allow hiring managers to subconsciously be more aware when they're actually interviewing minority candidates. And what that also allows is for them to allow these candidates to come into the employee base. So we are getting hired more, we're also getting promoted, and we're also being partnered with different mentoring groups. So you'll see a more diverse employee base with companies that have more training like this. And that usually translates to diverse customers. Customers are all different types of races and cultures. So having diverse thought in any process and at the table also translates to diversity in customers.
That's a good point. The diversity training and the unbiased conscious training should really start with people who are recruiting, because they're going to be the ones searching for candidates, right? So it starts there. So that's good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to ask about what you're excited about in the future. What initiatives, what programs, what are you doing?
So the pandemic has definitely forced us to move a lot faster when it comes to digital marketing. We have to deliver more optimized campaigns that allow us to do more targeting across omnichannel. So customers are on different platforms, different devices, and we have to get the right message to them that resonates with them. So I'm really excited about being able to move forward within our digital marketing roadmap a lot faster using more and more technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, also leveraging a lot more automation tools, open source tools available to my developers to help make that web experience more robust and a better customer experience. I'm excited about what the future holds in digital marketing.
Thank you so much, Faylene, for being on the show. I appreciate you talking about innovations at NVIDIA and talking about best practices in marketing, and also tips on how to be a better leader, especially when you are a woman of color managing multiple teams across the globe. So great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me so much.
There you have it. Take it up with Jessica Lee, Faylene Bell from NVIDIA.